I've been stuffed in your pocket for the last 100 days. When I don't get my bath, I take it out on the sleighs. So grease up your baby for the ball on the hill. I'll polish them rockets now and swallow those pills and say, oh. Space Lord, mother.
Welcome to the Outlaws podcast. It has been a long time, and a very long time that Drew has been here in the studio with me. Drew, how have you been during this long season?
It's definitely been a while. I've been good. I made the football playoffs since the last time we did a podcast.
And since the first time since 2009, I believe. Is that the right year?
Since 2009.
That's half a decade.
It's half a decade. Definitely feels good. Feel like I got some respect back, but still didn't get a win. Anyways, but my season looking pretty good in comparison to others. So
gosh, what an embarrassing season. But, like I told you earlier, I just had a lot of bad luck. The Denard Robinson injury really set me back. And, a lot of excuses I could make.
I mean, if we're being honest, you probably – just looking as far as points go, what were you, 9th or 10th in the league?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. But like you said, I was only about 50 or so behind you.
I mean, Big Ben was clearly the worst team in the league. 1,033 points over 13 games. Him, and I feel like you were definitely better than Eric Shimmer, but...
Who's Eric Shimmer? You mean Brandon?
I'm sorry, Brandon Shimmer.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. No, I think it's.
I better apologize to making Brandon right now if you're listening. I did not mean to trash someone who's not going to have a chance to listen to it.
I got to be serious. I think I was clearly one of the top 2 worst teams in the league, at least.
That's fair. Of course, I blew it for everybody. I blew the chance of 0-15 season the week I played you. Your one victory this year.
Yeah, that's literally the only bright spot on the season. But anyway, let's transition around from the talk of dwelling.
I will say, though, as much as a hard time as I've given you, right now you do currently hold both the baseball and the football titles, something nobody's ever done before. So
yeah, well, those teams were not my strongest teams ever in those leagues. Sometimes you just need a few breaks, too.
Definitely.
But let's talk about next week. It's going to be looking like it's going to be Michael versus Derek in the finals. Michael's got a title. Derek, this would be his first. I don't know if he's ever participated. I guess you said he was in one basketball finals a while back. But it's been a long time. Derek is always contending. He's always in the playoffs, but he normally doesn't have deep playoff runs. It would be a big chance here and a big upset if he could beat Derek's team, Michael's team, even though he has got a good team. But Michael's just been a juggernaut this year.
Yeah, I think it's anything but Michael winning is just – it's not a reflection of the season. Yeah. Obviously, he had the historic 209-point week, or was it 214? Something like that.
Yeah.
We'll never see anything like that again. We're fairly confident. I'd have to check that week. The Fantasy Perfect team, the game that Ben always plays, It had to be mostly Michael players that week. Right?
Yeah.
And that was just incredible. But the good news for Michael is his team kind of had a down week this week. I guess he's still going to pull it out because Aaron Rodgers wet the bed for Blake. So you like that they had kind of an off week this week. Hard to see that team having 2 off weeks in a row. So I like Michael's chances a lot next week.
I do too. And I don't want to give too much of a slight to Derek. I think he clearly has had the second best team throughout the season. And did he finish with the number 1 seed?
He finished the number 2 seed.
Okay.
And that's something I want to talk about. Even though Derek is the number 2 seed, we were sitting there in week 13, and obviously I was keeping an eye on Derek's matchup because if he had won his matchup against Brad, I would have automatically been in the playoffs and wouldn't have needed the other matchup to go my way. Derek in week 13 with the number 1 seed on the line, he played the New England Patriots D against the Green Bay Packers. Mm-hmm. And, just little decisions like that. I'm afraid Derek, if something happens late in the week or early morning on Sunday. I don't have full confidence in Derek to catch it. So more points in Michael's favor next week.
I mean, Derek has had a good team. He, his number 2 running back spot is a little weak right now. He had Jerick McKinnon in there for a lot of the season, and now it's Dan Herron, I guess. Did he have whoever? No, he didn't have Bradshaw. But he's got Breeze, Mike Evans, Des Bryant, Forte. It's a good team, but
yeah,
it's a step down from what Michael has, and to win next week would be a pretty big upset in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we definitely have the right 2 teams in the finals, though. I believe both these teams had their first-round byes clinched with like 3 weeks to go in the regular season. So clear-cut the finals that we're supposed to have, and if we get the winner we're supposed to have, it will be Michael next week.
All right, I know it's hard, and this is off the top of my head and your head, but do you have a fantasy MVP for this season?
I mean, it's DeMarco Murray or Le'Veon Bell, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting if, you could take a different route, the really, really cheap dollar players, or go with those studs up at the top. You can't go wrong with either one of those 2 guys. Beckham he's got to be up there for pickup of the year, no doubt, the way he's come on the last few weeks. He's got like 7 or 8 touchdowns over the last month. Ever since, Cruz got hurt, he's really taken over as the focal point of that offense. Yeah, it's been a wild year. It's been a quiet year. I don't know. My team has been so bad, and then I was hoping somebody else would take over the power rankings. It's been really quiet, and frankly, I just prefer fantasy baseball to fantasy football. And here in a minute, we're going to start talking about off-season news in baseball.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Football is exciting because of all the chaos, but baseball feels like a more controlled environment where you can actually manage your team better. I'm looking forward to getting back in that. Baseball, when you win, it feels more rewarding because you feel like you contributed to it in some way.
There's a lot more research required, and there's a lot more managing and moves and decisions that you make in baseball or football. Yeah. There's only so much you can do at some point. I tried to play with the waiver wire all season long, and I couldn't find much help. But baseball, you can find help if you're trying.
Definitely. And I want to ask you about Beckham. I'm just curious what you think. With Victor Cruz coming back next year, how much do you see Beckham going for next year?
I think he's definitely going over $30.
You think so?
I think so.
You're not worried about the impact of Cruz being on the field?
No, I don't think so. I think that would maybe just push Randall off the field and Cruz and Beckham out there at the same time. But I think Beckham is going to be the clear number 1 target in that offense. And I mean, he ran like a 4.3 in the combine. He was great at LSU. He's been making incredible catches and plays for the Giants. I think he's going to be easily a top 10 receiver going into next year the way he's playing right now, even though it's just kind of a small sample size. The only thing holding him back potentially is Eli.
Yeah, Eli. Not a great year. Le'Veon Bell went for $36, by the way. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible deal. I know Andrew Luck went for like 13 for that was obvious. I think he might be the number 1 or number 2 quarterback on the season right now. So Michael had a lot of really good picks.
Yeah, definitely. And Jordy Nelson was incredible. Antonio Brown. I mean, everyone that went on this team will go for more money next year, obviously, except for maybe Andre Ellington. He was actually his most expensive player at $41.
Well, let's just go ahead and transition into the offseason baseball news. The Blue Jays, they traded Brett Lowry and a few prospects, and then in return they got Josh Donaldson. They also acquired Russell Martin via free agency. This offense looks pretty dangerous. They're going to have Donaldson, Encarnacion, Batista, and Reyes. Russell Martin had a really underrated year last year. His on-base percentage was right around 400 last season. The Jays' offense is going to be pretty scary. Some people think Donaldson could be a first-round pick next year. Do you buy into that?
That's a little high. Who had him last year? Did Big Ben have him?
Big Ben had him, yes.
Yeah. No, Donaldson. What I think he's. I think he's a top 4 third baseman, but first-round pick.
Yeah, third base is just kind of weak.
You got to think.
Would you prefer Donaldson or Beltre next year?
Oh, Beltre's just been so consistent. I'd take Beltre in a heartbeat.
I think I'd go with Beltre too. But 2 years ago, Donaldson hit like over 320. Last year, the average was way down, but the power was. I think he still hit over 30 home runs. And then playing, that move from the Oakland Coliseum to the Rogers Center. The Rogers Center is one of the most hitter-friendly parks. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he got in the upper 30s in home runs next season. And it's going to be fun watching. That team's going to lead the majors in home runs, I'm guessing.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think it's just further evidence that I think we're kind of back to a point where we were a few years ago where you don't want any pitchers in the AL East. I mean, that's just having to go through that, having to go through what the Red Sox have acquired, which we'll get to in a minute. Obviously, Baltimore's still going to be fine.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the Red Sox. They made two big pickups in the offseason for their lineup, and the first is Pablo Sandoval, a former World Series MVP, and then Hanley Ramirez. First of all, these are obviously big name guys, but I just don't feel like they fit in with the Boston culture. I mean, Boston's known for the hardworking blue collar guys. These guys are just lazy, injury prone players. I heard somebody mention on a podcast the other day that when Hanley Ramirez slides into second base, it takes him about 15 to 30 seconds to get back up, and I don't know how that's going to fit in with the Boston fans.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that is if he, doesn't get hurt on his way to first base. I mean,
this team has been taken over by Latin American players.
Yeah, well, I understand the Pablo thing. You got to have somebody might have said it on a podcast too, but you got to have a big fat black guy to fill in for Ortiz when he retires. So, the Pablo thing makes sense. Hanley in the outfield, that's weird.
Yeah, so that's what I really don't get is they've got, they signed Resny Castillo, who is a big-time Cuban player that they finally got playing time at the end of last year. He's going to be penciled in every single day in the lineup. So they got him. They got Hanley that they want to play in left field. They've got Victorino. They did trade Cespedes, and then they've also got Alan Craig. I don't know how Craig's going to fit in anymore. So they've got – they can't use any of these guys at DH because they've got Ortiz.
Right.
So I don't really know how they're going to shuffle the lineup. I guess Alan Craig was probably a trade candidate. But the lineup itself is going to be really good. What do you think they hit Pedroia now? And I forgot to mention Mookie Betts. So they've got two extra spots.
Let me just say something. Pedroia is just incredibly overrated.
Wow. He's a former MVP. Actually, I don't think he really deserved that MVP. His numbers were not that good that year.
He's going to end up on Michael's team again, I'm sure. But, this guy doesn't deserve to go for more than, $15?
Oh, I'd say less than that.
I mean, he's basically Brandon Phillips.
No, I think he had single-digit home runs and steals last year.
He's like a slightly worse Brandon Phillips from a couple of years ago.
I mean, I don't think he's a bad a second baseman if you're going to wait on second base, but I expect him to go closer to 8 to 10 range among second basemen. Second base is quietly kind of a deep position.
Right.
And then for the Red Sox pitching staff, they missed it on Lester, who went to the Cubs, and they got Porcello, Wade Miley, Clay Buchholz. It's pretty bad staff. I know you're a big Porcello guy, though.
Hey, Porcello was huge for me last year. Not the greatest by any stretch. And I guess I forgot that Lackey's gone. Yeah, pretty much everyone that you identified as a Red Sox from just a couple years ago, everybody's gone now except for Ortiz.
And they did, they have a reunion. They did get Masterson again. If you think that might help.
Oh gosh,
I was actually really high on Masterson coming into last year, and he was awful. He's one of the worst starters in all of baseball. But I know coming into last year he was averaging over a strikeout an inning, but his control was just horrible.
No way I would ever trust that guy. Not a fan. He was on the Cardinals last year too, right? So
yeah, they traded for him, and they gave him a few starts. It didn't work out, and he just sat on the bench.
Yeah, you got a nice look at him. Masterson, no, not a fan.
Let's go out to Los Angeles. L.A. Sunny L.A. Los Angeles, where was I going to say? They traded Matt Kemp away to the Padres. How do you think this affects his value?
I never thought that Kemp would leave before Ethier. I thought Ethier was going to be gone a couple years ago. But, Matt Kemp is what? He's irrelevant now in fantasy baseball out in San Diego?
Totally irrelevant?
He's not a top 100 pick, is he?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, I've never really been a big Kemp fan, but he was really good in the second half of last year after I had really given up on him.
I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about last year and or 2 years ago, and then the early part of last year. I don't see this guy going until the 8th, 9th, 10th round in our league at least.
Okay, well that's one of the big moves.
I mean, think about it. He would have gone even cheaper if I hadn't taken him last year. I think I took him last year at $15. I mean,
yeah, I could see
his value can't be it couldn't have gone up from that, could it?
I mean, I don't think so, but
I don't know why I'm talking 8th, 9th round like we're in a snake league, but you know what I mean.
So they also traded D. Gordon away. He's going to the Marlins.
I'm surprised.
Did you know that happened?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just seeing how up to date you are on the news. I don't really. I guess he's probably going to hit leadoff. Maybe they move Yelich down to hit second in the lineup. I don't really think it affects his value a whole lot one way or the other. Maybe gives him a little bit better job security. I don't know. I don't really see myself taking D. Gordon next year though. But
Yeah.
I know that you've always seemed like you're real big on the speedsters. You've taken Ellsbury a lot. That one year where your team was horrible, you pretty much only had steals guys.
I mean, D. Gordon, he carried Brandon for several weeks. He was on Brandon's team last year, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and there were just several weeks where it was D. Gordon, and that's all he needed to win a single category. So obviously his runs come down a little bit, but I'm probably going to try to steer clear of the Marlins lineup, even with Stanton. Actually, Stanton's still there.
Stanton.
Right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that briefly. You mentioned Stanton. I'm trying to think of the potential top picks next year. Give me who do you think is the top 5 highest paid players in the auction league next year?
No.
Stanton's got to be one of them. The way he played last season.
Yeah, but another injury. I mean, this happens all the time.
This was kind of a the facial injury. Is that?
I know, but I mean, he got injured the year before. He's got kind of a reputation, even though you're right. So
it's got to be Trout, Cabrera. I think Stanton is in that top 5, and I think a lot of people would say Kershaw is probably going to be in the top 5.
I don't know. I feel like
McCutchen.
I feel like the playoff performance could almost lead to some people in our league preferring Bumgarner over Kershaw. I think that's crazy, but I would prefer Kershaw by a long shot. But I mean, is McCutchen not up in there?
He's probably 4 or 5, somewhere in that range. What about Jose Abreu?
Man, I disrespected this guy last year in the preseason, and I was dead wrong. I think
and that lineup around him is going to be a little bit better. They got Melky Cabrera. They got Adam LaRoche in the offseason. I guess he's going to DH there. I know I'm missing somebody else, another hitter, but I can't think of who it is right now.
I'm sorry, Ben. I was wrong about Jose Abreu. That guy just tore up the place. And then Ben traded him away, and then he was able to get him back in that cheap deal for Cargo. What about Cargo?
That was Eric Shim's team too, wasn't it?
Gosh, let's not get into it. I don't want to have to issue an apology and start a long group text or message post. But Carlos Gonzalez, what about this guy? I don't know what to say.
Here's my fear. I would.
Someone's gonna overpay.
If the Rockies were better as a team, I'd be willing to go for Cargo, but I just know they're gonna shut him down when he has some nagging injuries late in the year. It happens every season. So I got to stay away from him. But speaking of the outfielders, actually the best outfielder on that team last year was Corey Dickerson.
Oh my goodness,
he was amazing last year.
Yeah, on Derek's team, was a complete monster. Still don't know how Derek.
I don't see you taking him. Is that? Are you open to maybe trying to get him as a number 3 outfielder, number 2 outfielder?
If he has a double-digit O rank, anything's possible. But I mean, he doesn't. The name doesn't excite me. We all know this, but I had a lot of exciting names last year, and they were all clunkers. So maybe it's time to. They were mostly clunkers. Might be time to switch up that strategy. But no, I definitely respect Dickerson.
And speaking of Rockies outfielders, one of them left town, signed with the Mets. Michael Kadire. I mean, this guy just absolutely carried me in the playoffs last year when he finally came back. He was dominant. But big change of scenery there, going to the Mets. Not nearly as good of a lineup and not the same venue. I heard that he's got pretty drastic home road splits. So would you draft this guy even as a utility player?
Oh, he's going to get drafted for sure. He's a $10 player, right?
I think he's going to go for less than that.
Really?
Or I think he should. That's a big difference. I mean, think about what he was on the Twins. He was a really good player for the Rockies, but before when he was on the Twins, he had 1 or 2 good years. But
I'm pretty sure this guy was a 62 O rank a couple years ago. So
yeah,
I'm only halfway joking when I make these O rank comments. I still think about it a little bit. But what about my old boy Charlie Blackmon?
I forgot about Blackmon. They had so many outfielders playing time, between him and Stubbs and Cargo and all these guys.
Is he draftable? Maybe.
I think he's a utility player. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, he does a lot of he when he's hitting for a good average, he fills up the stat sheet all the way across the board. He can run. He has a little bit of power.
He had a 2020 season, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I don't know if he had 20 home runs. I could be wrong though.
Oh, he had to have been close. That guy had an incredible start.
So the Reds, let's talk about the NL Central for a little bit. The Reds seem like they're kind of blowing up the team. They traded away Matt Latos to the Marlins. They also traded Alfredo Simon to the Tigers. I don't really want to talk about the Reds in general, but what do you think about those two moves? Do you think that Simon, he was an All-Star last year, would you even draft him?
Where did he go?
The Tigers. It's just they got a decent park, not a bad division, but it is the American League.
Not a great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess they have Cespedes now, right?
They've got Cespedes, yep.
Not a big fan. No, not at all. I thought last year was a fluke. I've seen this guy pitch before, and last year I don't know where last year came out of nowhere.
Are you high on Latos for next season on the Marlins? I mean, personally, I love those NL East pitchers because that division's pretty bad hitting wise,
and they've all got pretty big ballparks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not the Nationals. He's okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's kind of how I feel about him.
He had. We know Nick respects him.
Yeah.
We know Nick will give. Who did he give up to get Latos last year?
I think it was. No, I can't remember for sure, but it was a kind of a lopsided trade when you went back and looked at it.
Jordan Zimmerman.
Oh, that's right. That's who it was. And Zimmerman was money last year at the end of the season, especially.
Zimmerman. Well, could Zimmerman go for more than Strasburg?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lot more consistent at least.
I mean, I'd pay for more.
He's not going to give you the strikeouts, but he's probably going to get you a lower whip.
Right. I've gone against Zimmerman. I've gone against Strasburg. Zimmerman.
Oh, I've always loved Zimmerman.
Has burned me way more times than Strasburg. So I could see me owning him.
Also in the NL Central, we had the big trade between the Cardinals and the Braves. They acquired Jason Hayward and your boy Jordan Walden, a former closer that you had on the Angels, for Shelby Miller. Shelby Miller had a really bad season last year, but Jason Hayward, one of those people that everybody clings to for the upside. Are you done with Hayward in the upside play, or would you take him?
I have no confidence in this guy whatsoever. I mean, last year when I was going against him, I hardly ever thought about him.
I forgot. He had like 11 home runs last year, something like that. I was looking at his career stats, and I forgot that like 2 years ago he had a 27 home run season. I did not remember that at all, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't think I'll be taking him. He's just been too up and down throughout his career.
He'll get drafted by somebody, but it's not going to be me.
Yeah. Let's see, what else should we talk about? The Dodgers. New middle infield, so they got rid of Kemp in the outfield, and they also got rid of D. Gordon, but now they've got Howie Kendrick and Jimmy Rollins, the middle infielders. Two solid veterans, but Jimmy Rollins is quietly really good last year.
Yeah, he sure was, and he sat out there on the waiver wire for a long time, and I think I
picked him up 2 or 3 times throughout the year when I had Hanley get hurt.
And people like me were like, no, I'd rather hang on to who did I have? I had something. Oh, I started
Alcides Escobar.
Alcides Escobar, Asdrubal Cabrera. Big Ben said, no thanks, I'll rock it with Jordy Mercer. I mean, was it Jordy Mercer?
Yeah.
Was that his name? On the Pirates. I mean, definitely got disrespected and definitely had a very solid year last year. I mean, I don't know. Is he running still? Obviously,
oh yeah, he had a lot of. He probably had close to 30 steals last year.
Good, okay, because obviously he's going to a worse ballpark.
Yeah, he is. But he's going to be in a good lineup. The thing is, I don't really know how high in the lineup he's going to hit. He's traditionally been hitting first or second in the lineup, but with the Dodgers, I don't know if they're going to trust him to hit that high. I don't really know who else they would put up there except for Kendrick, I guess. So maybe they'll keep him at the top of the lineup. But if he is hitting leadoff, that would be a little bit interesting if you're going to wait on shortstop, because he'll probably go cheap. He'll probably go for $1 or $2.
I think if you're giving me how far apart do you think D. Gordon and Jimmy Rollins would go in drafts?
Money wise, I would think that D. Gordon would go for closer to $20, but that's just a guess.
See, and in that case, I'd rather pay the discounted rate for Rollins.
And I think D. Gordon might only be second base eligible this year. I don't think he played any shortstop last season.
You might be right, yeah.
Now we're talking about some less interesting moves, but there's really not a whole lot else we can talk about.
Well, we have to get to what we're going to do about what we think we're going to do with the league eventually next year with Big Ben's inevitable exit. Let's
talk about that since you brought it up. Big Ben likely to be gone. First of all, I don't know if he wants to play, and secondly, I don't know if he'll set his lineup. So that's always a dangerous game to play.
He's just kind of a grumpy old man these days. I feel like I haven't heard him say one positive thing in a long time. I haven't really heard him say a thing, just over text. So and obviously, yeah, he's got his things going on and whatever. I mean, good riddance.
So, so Big Ben likely gone. I'm assuming you're not okay with having Eric Schimmer fill in an additional spot.
That's a pretty safe guess.
Is that an understatement?
That's probably an understatement, and we know we're not bringing Adam back, so that takes us down to 8 teams.
So yeah, we're down at 8. We don't. That's the thing about baseball. It's hard to find people that like baseball or are knowledgeable about it and that will play.
The thing is, people that don't like baseball are people that haven't tried it. I just feel like enough people haven't tried it. It really is. I have to,
if anybody from the football league is listening and was thinking about playing for some reason,
Blake,
you got to realize that half the league didn't watch baseball before they started it. Now they all prefer it over playing fantasy football. It's just numbers. You just, you check out the stats and projections, things like that, and it's like anything else. You don't necessarily have to watch baseball to know what you're doing.
And way more strategy involved. You can actually affect your matchup with your pickups. It's not as fluky. I mean, we all love baseball for that. And you still have your Sundays, which are fairly intense, at least.
Yeah, they definitely are. And in baseball, it's kind of like football. You think football has that one big play if somebody breaks along for a long TD. You can have that exact same thing happen with a big home run or your pitcher imploding in one inning. So it's pretty exciting.
But yeah, I think we're down to 8 teams, and I really don't want to. I really don't want to water it down with 2.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we found Michael this way.
I would love to have 10 teams at least so that the rosters aren't overly stacked.
Right.
But I just don't. If anybody knows of anybody that's decent out there, we'll get them in there, I guess. But I don't think that we're going to have anybody join the league more than likely. And we also have to worry about Little Ben. I mean, we can't go down to 7 teams. We could be in jeopardy of having to go to a points league if we have 7 teams.
I mean, I think we would have to find somebody to fill an 8 spot, but I don't really like. I prefer where 6 teams make the playoffs because I like the byes. But if we have 8 teams, we're obviously only going to have 4 make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just something we'll have to deal with when we get there. But yeah, I didn't even think about. Have we played in an 8-team league before?
Just that one basketball year.
Okay. Because I'm just trying to imagine how many more players that would make available on the waiver wire. That would definitely.
And I'm pretty sure we had 6 teams make the playoffs that year too. For some reason, I don't know why we did it that way.
Oh yeah, the 18 basketball league. Yeah, that was foolish. Yeah, for sure.
So running out of things to talk about, but how do you feel that Didi Gregorius will fill in Derek Jeter's footsteps at shortstop for the Yankees?
Oh my gosh.
Move on.
That's not gonna get the job done.
Do you buy Brandon McCarthy still being a draftable pitcher now that he's on the Dodgers? He was great for the Yankees after the trade.
Yeah, he was sneaky good. Who had him on there?
I think Brendan had him. I picked him up a few times throughout the year because I saw his xFIP and his FIP were so much lower than his ERA, and he had a good strikeout rate.
Yeah, as I say, he definitely had some 8 and 9 strikeout games against me. I mean, I could see him being your last pick.
Yeah.
Dollar pick, obviously.
Any interest in Josh Rutledge to the Angels? Playing second base for Howie Kendrick now.
That's okay.
He was great on the Rockies, and he seems to have some big games out of nowhere.
I mean,
move on.
That was one of the it's one of the circumstances where a guy got sent to the minors before I had the chance to cut him. So I won't be owning Josh Rutledge.
So your boy Dave Robertson, closer for the Yankees, is now going to be for the White Sox.
I'm disappointed.
So my question is this: who would you rather have? Assuming that
Betances.
Betances is the closer.
It's not even close.
Okay, you'd rather have Betances than Robertson.
Oh my gosh! I mean, first of all, I was surprised that Derek held on to him all year last year, all year. Wasn't fazed at all by the fact he's a setup man, but being a Robertson owner, I got a chance to watch a lot of Betances innings as I was getting ready to watch saves, and that guy's just incredible. Just strikes out 2 guys every inning. I mean, big fan. I think he's got to be a top 5 closer for next year. Too high?
I think that's about right. Top 5 or so.
Just somewhere around 5 or 6.
Closers are so hit and miss. It seems like it's hard to. I had Rosenthal last year. And while he kept the role for pretty much the whole year, he was a headache to watch. He had a whip around 140 or so, and every single inning he seemed to walk 2 guys. So
yeah, he definitely had some bad moments. I remember watching that. He definitely killed you. Not as bad as that one Cardinals reliever that you had, but who was that one guy that burned you for like 6 runs? And
Mitchell Boggs.
Mitchell Boggs.
Yeah, Mitchell Boggs killed me that one year.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think Hector Rendon could be interesting for the Cubs. I mean,
yeah,
they're going to win a few more games next year, and he was solid down the stretch. I like Rendon. I will just say that I will not be drafting R.A. Dickey this year.
Okay, so I'm looking at some preseason rankings from next year from Tristan Cockcroft. I just want to get your feedback on a few of these rankings. First of all, Miguel Cabrera 9.
9.
He's got him behind.
Whoa, behind Batista.
But we forgot to mention Goldschmidt earlier. He should be right around that conversation for a top 5 pick.
Oh yeah, Goldschmidt.
But Cabrera behind Carlos Gomez.
Yeah. You know,
I don't agree with that.
Goldschmidt will be a top 5 pick. I mean, at least $50, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I disagree. Stanton at 2. He's got Stanton at 2. That's no way.
No way for you. You'd rather have McCutcheon?
I'd rather have everybody on that in that top 10 besides him.
I think Freddie Freeman at 15 is too high. I think personally Hanley at 19 is more. It's a little higher than I'd like to go for him.
Definitely.
He's got Chris Sale as the number 3 pitcher overall. I wasn't expecting him to be quite that high.
Yeah, Miguel Cabrera at 9. I mean, at that low, that makes him a candidate for my team.
Victor Martinez.
Nope.
You're dumb. Yeah, that power came out of nowhere last year, so you're not buying into that.
It was incredible.
No,
I just can't believe that's going to happen.
Whoa, Corey Dickerson's the number 33 player. There's no way he's on your team if he's going projected for that kind of a price.
Probably.
He's in front of Ryan Braun and Adam Wainwright. There's absolutely no way you would do that.
Yeah, and also not going to be on my team probably Michael Brantley. I mean,
yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. I want to be clear. I respect Michael Brantley, and he had incredible.
Can we
season.
calm down with the Bryce Harper love?
Oh
number
my
37.
gosh.
He's going against ahead of guys like
He should be in
Greinke,
the-
Strasburg, Pence, Donaldson. I'd much rather have Donaldson any day of the week
He should be in the 50s.
than Bryce Harper.
Should be a 5th, 6th round pick.
I agree. George Springer at 50. I'm picking out all these young guys, but George Springer at 50. Could you see yourself? Say that
No.
he slides 10 or 15 picks. You still wouldn't go that high.
No. I mean, a double-digit O rank could affect me a little bit, but finally Ortiz is, the last few years he's been kind of down there in the low hundreds, high
Right.
90s. I mean, it finally looks like where's he have him there? 55. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where he should be.
I've got a couple prime
Ortiz,
time.
Ortiz 55, Matt Kemp 56.
These are 2 very likely players to be on your team next year. Prince Fielder and Adrian Gonzalez.
Oh wow,
They're both sneaking outside the top 50.
I'm done.
If Prince Fielder's going for $22.
Let me tell you something. Adrian Gonzalez is one of the most boring people in the world to own.
He led the National League in RBI last year.
It was crazy. But that was just, he had Ryan Howard-like opportunity. I think he had to have the most men on base when he came up to bat of anyone that last season because it's hard to believe he led the league in RBI.
Now, Joe Mauer, he's been
No.
well, he's first base eligible this year.
Nope.
Would you pick him up off the waiver wire if he was not drafted to slide in at utility?
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
He's not catcher eligible
anymore. He's not draftable, duh.
Okay.
Yeah, not going to be owned. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Joe Mauer.
Okay.
How?
Hold on.
I know,
This is absolutely crazy. I just saw something.
I just want to pick on something real quick. How can you have Joe Mauer in your top 100 if you're Tristan Cockcroft?
Absolutely.
He is not draftable.
That's horrible.
He's not draftable.
Now, this is, and maybe there's an injury I'm not aware of here, but this is absolutely insane. He has Alexi Ramirez ranked ahead of Joey Votto, Cliff Lee. I know that they had bad years last year, but it's Alexi Ramirez.
Alexi was good last year.
He's like 37 years old.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins.
You would draft Alexi Ramirez over Joey Votto.
No. I mean, Ben Head might.
Okay.
Ben Head hates Votto.
He's ranked ahead of Ivo Kuma. I know Iwakuma was a disaster the last month or so, but come on.
Asians are trustworthy,
DeGrom,
folks.
Matt Carpenter outside of the top 100.
And ahead of
Some of these
Pablo.
rankings are just it's crazy. One guy that I do like to bounce back. I know that he had a disappointing rookie season, but I just have a lot of faith in Gregory Polanco for some reason. I could see myself taking him.
Guy's a stud. I mean,
He's going to be a 5-category stud
obviously,
at some point.
he was my non-active player last year. I was pretty proud of that one.
Yeah.
I was able to swing him for Desmond. That was a good trade. By the way, how high? Oh well, we're past it. I am curious how high Desmond is ranked, but
Desmond is 30th, sandwiched in between David Price and Posey.
sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Posey at 30 is still too high. Posey should be in the 50s.
So they've got Adrian Beltre as the number 1 third baseman, Rendon at second, and then I think Donaldson was third. Just real quick, give me a player or two that is likely to be on your baseball team next season.
Gosh.
I've got the list in front of me for the top 25 or so players.
I mean, well, you just have to start and look at my roster from last year. Cliff Lee.
Cliff Lee, and he's outside of the top 100, I think.
Yeah.
No, I would be all about Cliff Lee. I mean, I know he was bad last year, but that seems way too low.
Yeah.
I know he's old, but I'll take that any day. He's got that excellent control.
Yeah, not going to get you a lot of wins, obviously. He is still in the Phillies, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, as I'm looking at right here, something that stands out to me is I think Justin Upton's getting too much respect here at 25.
Yeah, I'm not an Upton fan. He had a really good first half of the year, but he kind of faded.
He did
29 home runs last year, 102 RBI.
You know what? That's better than I
Than you thought.
expected.
But yeah, this is Hanley at 19, based on the fact that he played like 150 games last year, and look at his stats. He had 13 home runs, 14 steals, 71 RBI, 64 runs, and he did not miss that much time, honestly.
He played 128 games last year. I'm pretty sure I heard that on.
Oh, really?
BS
That's
report.
more. That's a little less than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, but he could play less than 128 this year. I mean, when he plays, he's usually good, but that's too high.
Okay, so I'm looking at the starting pitching rankings real quick. Anything that jumps off to the page to you? How about Kluber at 7? Do you buy that he is going above Wainwright, Strasburg, Greinke, Darvish? Would you do that?
Guy had a great year last year.
He had a great year, but I don't think I would go over 2 or 3 of those names. I would prefer him over Greinke, but not Wainwright. Strasburg gets close.
Strasburg.
Darvish,
yeah.
I would rather have Kluber than Darvish, just because I don't know. Darvish, I just don't trust him to stay healthy.
I would definitely take Wainwright over him, and then I'd probably agree with you on the other two. I'd probably take Cueto over him too.
I could see Cueto too. He finally stayed healthy last year.
Yeah, of course.
Alex Cobb at 16 seems a little too high for me. I would prefer most of the names below him.
He's still in the Rays, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, how good are they going to be next year?
That's probably not that good, but that's what we say every year.
That's true.
Alex Wood at 37.
Let me tell you. I sorry to interrupt you. You asked me who's going to be on my team. Right here at number 28, Mr. Jacob DeGrom.
28 though, that's really high.
I respect the hell out of this guy. This guy's incredible.
No.
I mean, just look at the stats. I mean, this guy was incredible for me last year, and helped carry me to that 6th place finish.
I can tell you 2 guys that are not going to be on my team next year for the price that they're going at. Number 42, Mike Minor. Number 44, Colin McHugh. Absolutely no way I take them that high.
Yeah, Mike Minor.
Phil Hughes, 58. That seems a little low.
I could not take Minor. Phil Hughes, great year last year. I think he finished the year on.
Are you done with Kevin Gausman?
No, I don't think so.
Sabathia for $1?
No, thank you.
Yeah, you would.
No, and no chance on that.
Gallardo, Duffy.
I mean, I like where Porcello's ranked. I think that's a little too low. I'd like him at the number 62 ranked pitcher. I'd be okay with him being my 7th pitcher for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to go back to my normal strategy.
I'm interested in Kane. I'm interested in Matt Cain at the 46th.
He's still pretty young. I don't really know what happened last season. I think I'm probably going to go after an ace, and then I'm going to wait. Between those guys that are ranked about 30 to 50 or so, I probably skip out on that area of the draft and then take a bunch of guys after that.
Are you surprised Tanaka's down at 35? I thought he might be in the 20s.
It's kind of the hedge, Obviously, if you think he's staying healthy, then he goes way up to the top, probably top 5. Honestly, he's got that
I mean, he's the
torn
best
ligament in his
pitcher
elbow.
in that whole division, isn't he?
He is. He had 2 starts when he came back from that tear in his elbow. One of them was good. The second one, he got absolutely blown up, and I don't even think he finished 1 inning. I'm probably not comfortable taking him.
I could see me taking him at 35. I think he'll be better than the number 35 pitcher next year.
There's no doubt about that. You're not afraid to take those injury risk players.
No, not at all. I mean, especially if we're going to be in an 18 league next year.
That's true. Take the upside guys.
I mean, look at the list for this year. I mean, Corey Kluber, obviously, that was a pickup. I can't really see it anymore, but Corey Dickerson. I mean, you can find guys in fantasy baseball.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts for the podcast, baseball or football related?
I just want to say I'm glad to see Jose Bautista in the top 5. He deserves that. He was awesome last year. You got a little bit of redeeming to do after this football season. I don't think any of us doubt that you're gonna make it to the playoffs this year. But
you can't say it that confidently. 2 years ago in baseball, I squeezed in, but I was outside the top 7 or so for about 80% of the year.
That's right. That was the year from. We both had terrible years that year. But yeah, I think
yours is a little bit more terrible than mine. Yours is historically bad.
I still finished in 7th, I think. But I think we're looking at an 18 league. I don't think it's going to really affect things that much. And I don't know. I'd still give Big Ben a 5% chance to participate, but are you going to miss him?
I don't know. The guy's I just don't get the way that he talks trades. I'll send him a trade, and he'll be. I don't know why he reacts the way that he does for a trade offer.
I'm still not forgiving him.
I sent him a perfectly fair trade, and he'll take so much offense to it.
I don't know how to explain it. He's just a grumpy old man now.
Yeah, but I'm ready to get wheeling and dealing, have our roster set, and hit up Nick for some trades.
Draft party.
We'll probably be here unless Nick wants to host it, but I'm assuming we could probably do it over here. Unless you want to do it at your place.
No. I just downgraded from 50 gigs to 3 gigs to save a little money. So
yeah,
can't be trusting 3 gigs for. Although
my 6 gig connection wasn't exactly great last year. Although Michael did. Who did he get from that pick? Golden Tate, I think, actually, or somebody like that.
Oh yeah, there was that weird moment. Yeah, that happened a couple times during the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the way that the baseball draft turned out last year, it sounds like how many people did we end up with last year? 5 people showing up at the draft? I'm just telling you right now, Michael, go ahead, get a spare tire right now. I know it's Christmas time, so go ahead and ask for just any car parts you might need at this time. I don't want any shenanigans happening come March.
All right, before we sign off real quick, as the NFL season is dwindling down, it's probably the last podcast we do for quite some time. So I want you to give me your playoff picks, and then you pick your Super Bowl matchup and champion. So for the AFC East, we both got the Patriots. In AFC North, it's a lot closer. The Bengals won big today. The Steelers and the Ravens both just half a game back. I think the Browns are officially out now after they're 7-7. I think the Bengals will hang on here, so I'm going to pick them to win the division. Although this is, I'm not looking at the schedule in advance here.
Yeah, no, I can't think of who they have down the stretch. I think the Bengals have already played the Steelers twice, right?
I don't remember.
I think they've already played the Steelers and the Ravens twice. Anyways, who'd you say you were leaning towards?
I'm going to stick with the Bengals.
Yeah, I'll do that as well.
AFC West, obviously, I guess not so obviously if the Chargers were to somehow upset the Broncos as the game is going on right now.
It's
but
obvious
for me, the Broncos.
Correct.
AFC South, the Colts, in agreement there. So pick out your 2. We got the same division winners. Pick out your 2 wild card teams from the AFC. The Texans are 7-7. I had no idea they were 500.
Even with that loss today.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I would have liked the Texans' chances had they pulled out the win today. You got to figure at least one of those teams is obviously coming from the AFC North. Depending on the schedule, if the Steelers and Ravens don't play each other down the stretch,
They both could get in.
You could see 3 teams from that division making the playoffs. But
So here's who it's between. You get the Bills that are 8-6. The Ravens and Steelers are both 9-5 right now. The Chargers and the Chiefs are 8-6. Assuming that the Chargers lose today, they'll be 8-6. So it's between those two teams. Those teams for the 2 spots. I'm going to go with the Ravens, and then I'm going to go with the. I'll go with the Chiefs.
Well, you know what? I really want the Chiefs to be in the playoffs because I think they could upset somebody. I think they could beat New England.
You're a huge Chiefs fan. You picked them to win the Super Bowl last year, or at least make the Super Bowl.
I mean, obviously, did you see what they did in New England this year? I mean, when's the last time New England looked like that?
They got a really good defense. I think and I'm looking right now, and at least for the AFC, they had the tied for the least points allowed in the season out of all the teams in the AFC with the Bills.
If Andy Reid just wouldn't get so pass happy, I think they could do some damage. But I'm surprised you left out the Steelers. I definitely think the Steelers will
I just don't like the Steelers, so I wanted to find a way not to pick them.
Who likes the Steelers? No one likes the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Steelers, and I'll say the Chargers.
Okay, and now to the NFC. So you're going to go Chargers. I didn't see that coming, actually. The NFC, we've got the Panthers, who have a half-game lead over the Saints, assuming that's before the Saints play tomorrow on Monday night. Who do they play? The Bears. So they could easily win that game.
Right.
So the Panthers have a half-game lead in the division right now. It's a battle between the half-game lead over the Saints and then a half-game lead over. Am I doing this right?
Well, technically,
a quarter-game lead over the Saints. Is that possible?
No, they're technically tied with the Saints.
Even with the tie?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's right.
So the Saints will be half a game down if they lose, half a game up if they win. Obviously, the Bucks. It's so funny. I think I heard somebody talking a couple weeks ago about how the Bucks were still eligible to win the division and get the number 1 pick. I mean, I think it.
You got to pick one of these teams. Who do you think is going to win it?
I think whoever wins the Panthers-Falcons game at the end of the season wins the division.
I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they win tomorrow. I know they've looked absolutely horrible lately, but stick a gun to my head. I think they're the best team in the division still. NFC North. The Packers lost today in surprising fashion to the Bills on the road. Although the Bills are a little bit better than I've probably given them credit for. The Lions are 9-4, and if they win today, they'll be tied with the Packers. I think the Packers blew them out on Thanksgiving.
Correct.
So they would have the division tiebreaker. So
they probably got to play them a second time.
Yeah, that's true. They probably haven't played that second game yet.
I mean,
either way, I'm going with the Packers.
Yeah. No beating around the bush.
The Lions are playing right now. It's almost halftime. They're down 14-7 at home to the Vikings. They're driving. They might score right here. But I'm still going to go with the Packers. The NFC East, a tie between the Eagles and the Cowboys, a huge game tonight.
All comes down to tonight.
All comes down to tonight. If the Cowboys lose, as everybody would expect them to do because it's the Cowboys,
it's over.
Then they're done more than likely because there's so many teams vying for those wild card spots. I'm going to go.
Well, no, I don't think they're done as far as the playoffs, but they're definitely done as far as the division because Eagles would have a 1-game lead and have the
tiebreaker. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles too.
And like I said, they wouldn't be technically done, but there's so many teams vying for that spot. I don't know if they could get in. The NFC West, the Cardinals. I mean, they have 11 wins. They have the best record in all of football right now.
That's crazy.
So I mean, I don't know. They don't have it clinched yet. I don't see the asterisk next to their name. So I guess there's still a scenario where the Seahawks could win out and win the division. The Cardinals could somehow miss it again.
Well,
I think it'd be extremely difficult for that to happen. But they do have Ryan Lindley right now as their quarterback.
Gosh, Ryan Lindley is absolutely terrible. The only thing that as long as there's a winner in tonight's game between Dallas and Philadelphia, then Arizona clinches a playoff.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. So they're pretty much in.
Yeah, if there was a tie for some reason, then technically they wouldn't have clinched it yet. But assuming there'll be a winner tonight, they're going to be in.
And they got a tough schedule at the end of the season. They got at home to the Seahawks, and remember this is with Ryan Lindley. Then at San Francisco in the last week 17 of the season. So they need to bank on somebody else doing the job for them to get them in, which they have 11 wins. It's not like I don't mean to discredit them.
Yeah, but I mean you kind of have to. I mean who would you favor them against in the playoffs?
I would not favor them against any team, no matter what. They said Stanton's out for 4 weeks. I guess if they got a bye, maybe if he beat the timetable a little bit, he can maybe be back. But yeah, this is a team that nobody fears.
Yeah, I mean that defense is incredible, and obviously Bruce Arians is probably going to win Coach of the Year, right? So, I mean, I got respect for him, but I mean, it's just the facts of life. If they want any chance, that they have to win that division and get the number one seed because they're a different team when they play at home.
Okay, so we've actually agreed on all of our division champions outside of the NFC South. For the 2 wild card spots,
Well, there are only 2 games left in the season.
That's true.
It's not like it's a preseason picks here.
The NFC South, we had different picks there. The 2 wild card spots are going to be between the Lions, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks, who are all 9-4 and all are in the middle of games right now, or have one tonight for the Cowboys. Of those 3 teams, which 2 do you see making the playoffs? And I guess the 49ers shouldn't be totally ruled out. They're 7-6.
You can rule the 49ers out.
Okay.
I mean, they are up on Seattle at halftime, but
I'm going to go with, and this is without looking at the schedule, but maybe I should. I need to. The Cowboys are in a really bad division. Maybe I shouldn't have counted them out so fast if they lose tonight. Their last 2 games of the year, I'm looking up right now.
And
usually is Washington. It's the
Colts.
It's home to the Colts and at Washington.
They're gonna lose that Colts game.
I think so too. So I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna pick the Cowboys. I'm gonna go with the Lions and then the Seahawks, I guess.
Yeah, I hate to be boring, but definitely the Lions, and then whoever doesn't win whoever comes in second in the NFC West, the Cardinals or the Seahawks.
Okay, and so there's a lot of room for debate on the best team in the NFC or who you think would go to the Super Bowl.
I mean,
I think we pretty much both ruled out the Cardinals because of their quarterback situation. If the Seahawks were to make it, they'd be a strong candidate.
Yeah, but let's think about this though. Ryan Lindley out a month. Drew Stanton out a month.
Mm-hmm.
They got 2 weeks, and then if they get the number 1 or number 2 seed, then they have a bye.
Yeah, so he might be back.
That has him back for their first playoff matchup.
But still,
that's
it's
why
Drew Stanton. They scored 12 points against the Rams.
Yeah, but
I think I heard it said the last 4 weeks they've scored under 20 points in all 4 weeks.
Hey, but with that defense, that can be enough. I mean, if they're at home, and Drew Stanton is back, I'm not completely opposed to the idea that they win it all the way to the Super Bowl.
So
I know that sounds crazy, but
NFC pick. Who do you have? I'm gonna go with the Packers.
I know the Packers just lost today, but I mean
the Packers dismantled the Eagles a few weeks ago.
It basically comes down to this. Who are you taking against the Packers? Are you going to take Ryan Lindley?
The only team I'd even consider. The only team I'd consider is the Seahawks, and they're not going to be at home for that game more than likely. So if it's at Lambeau, I'm taking the Packers. Although I do love Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and the Packers did lose that game today, so the Seahawks and the Packers do have the same record right now. So
okay, for the AFC, this one is it's obviously between 2 teams for the most part. Everybody's going to go Broncos, Patriots. Some people might try to argue the Colts. I'm not ready to go there. Broncos, Patriots. Right now, the Patriots have the advantage for home field because they won the head-to-head matchup. The Broncos, if they win today, they'll have the same record. So, assuming if the Patriots win out, they're going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs until the Super Bowl, obviously.
Right.
So that gives the edge to the Patriots for me. They were my preseason pick. I think I had Patriots, Seahawks. I can't remember who I picked to win that game, but I'm going to stick with the Patriots to make the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, as much as I want to be exciting and come up with a Chiefs-Panthers Super Bowl like I did last year, it's pretty clear-cut right now. We're pretty sure it's going to be Denver and New England, and as long as the Gronk, the Beast,
stays healthy. So it sounds like to us that we're pretty much picking the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, arguably at least, with Manning, Rodgers, and Brady as the 3 teams likely to make the Super Bowl.
All right.
So we'd have a potential Brady versus Rodgers showdown. In that event, let me look up where this game is played.
See, that's the thing that's so frustrating about the Cardinals. If they had a top 10 QB, which I guess Carson Palmer.
This game will be at University of Phoenix Stadium, so it's a dome game.
Right.
I think that favors the Packers. They had a dome game when they played the Steelers when they were in Dallas.
Right.
I think that favors their style of offense. I know that the Patriots like to spread it around a lot. I don't know. I guess they've got pretty similar style offensively, but I feel like the Packers are going to win it all this year.
Yeah.
They beat the Patriots head to head. It wasn't. I feel like it wasn't as close as the score was. I think they only won by 5 points, but I think the Patriots might have tacked on a late touchdown there.
I don't know. I'm I'm gonna favor. It depend if the game's in Seattle. I'm gonna like the Seahawks against the Packers.
Oh, really?
I mean,
So
they have the same record.
So you're picking the home team there, no matter what. I agree with that, I guess, but I think that the Packers are going to get the home field advantage, though.
Yeah, but they have the same record right now. And since Seattle beat Green Bay in Week 1, Seattle would have home field advantage. So
well, they might not win the division though.
That's true.
They wouldn't have home field though if they were the wild card team.
No, you're right. But we're assuming they beat Arizona next week.
Yeah, I'm assuming that too.
So.
Okay, so what is your playoff pick? I wasn't clear on what you're picking right here.
For the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm going Packers over Patriots now.
I'm going Patriots over Seahawks.
Okay, that was my preseason pick, I think. So you like the Seahawks to get there? Do you think that they're gonna get home field, or do you think that the Seahawks would just win on the road?
Let me be clear. I'm rooting for Arizona to get home field and win that division, but I think Seattle is more than likely going to win the division and have home field.
Very interesting.
I mean, their last 2 games are Arizona against Ryan Lindley and the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know that because I was looking at my Eliminator picks the other day, and I've got them in Week 17. But
I will say this: the way that Packers game ended today, not that this matters for the playoff talk, but I feel like that might have opened the door for DeMarco Murray to be the front runner for the MVP. You know, I guess you got to consider Le'Veon Bell at running back too, Manning and Rodgers. I think those are the top 4 guys. But Rodgers had a chance to make a big play there. 2-minute drive, take the lead and win the game, and fumbled it away.
Yeah. I mean, you don't give J.J. Watt a shot?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of stupid to give he affects the game a lot, but nobody affects the game really as much as the quarterback, so I'm always going to favor the quarterback winning his award.
If Manti Te'o can be one of the finalists for the Heisman Award, J.J. Watt can be top 3 in MVP. I mean,
they're definitely padding his stats, trying to feed him the ball in the end zone so they can be considered for MVP and stuff like that. I feel like the defensive award. I feel like there should be no offensive player of the year award. It should just be the MVP. Then there should be the defensive player of the year. I think it's stupid that there's an offensive player and an MVP award.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, do you feel that way about Cy Young and MVP? I mean,
yeah, I do. I don't like the fact that Kershaw won the MVP. I think it's stupid.
I mean,
I don't even think that he should have won it, honestly. I mean, I think Stanton would have won it if he had stayed healthy.
Yeah, no.
Tula would have won it if he had stayed healthy. He was awesome.
No, it had to be Kershaw. But do you think they should have like a...
because a choker in the playoffs.
You think they should have like a Babe Ruth award and a Cy Young award and then have your MVP?
I think when Kershaw had that collapse, I texted Nick during that game. I was like, this is Chris Webber-esque. The way he's just melting down in the big situations like this.
Yeah.
Both times in the 6th or 7th inning, they had the game in control, and he just totally melted down.
He pitched good in that second game though. That was just
he pitched great until
he had a shutout going. It was a 1-3-run bomb. I mean, you know what? That whole the people dogging on him for that was a little overrated. Obviously, he pitched awful in game 1, but
yeah.
But that was just he was one bad pitch away from having a shutout in that last game. So, he's got to be the number 1 pitcher taken this year, is he not?
Yeah, he is, but he's a different player when it comes to playoff time.
I guess. I don't know. His sample size is so small in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How many games has he pitched in the playoffs? Like 4 or 5 games?
I don't know.
Get off his back.
He's pitched at least 4 games against the Cardinals alone, and he's collapsed every single time. And the Cardinals they had a horrible lineup last year.
It's true. Yeah. Cardinals lineup's not gonna get any worse than what they had last year, so whatever. I bet you he bounces back. He's gonna probably, All
right, gun to your head. Who wins the MVP in football and NFL this year?
Oh Lord.
All right, it sounds like you're gonna get.
I just got shot.
Electrocuted if you.
You said gun to the head. I got nervous.
Okay.
Can't joke about that stuff after Ferguson.
Oh man, I could do a whole podcast on the Michael Brown situation.
Oh, I know, right? That's probably.
I can get the Eric Garner one in New York, but the Michael Brown, come on now.
With
better leave it at
Brandon
that.
and Bean from Missouri,
I better leave it at that.
It could get nasty. I'm Rogers.
Rogers, okay. I'm gonna go with Murray. I think Rogers might have choked it away today. But Murray's gonna have to have a big game.
Murray might not. His team might not even make the playoffs.
I know, that's true. But what's he on pace for? He's got to be on pace for about 2,000 yards right now. That's extremely rare in the NFL.
And they're not doing anything to decrease his workload at all, which. You know what? I'm
fine with too.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, so I think we got everything covered today.
I think so. Remember back when we started and we said this was going to be a short podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
You're probably going to end up cutting it off 30 seconds early.
Well, guys, Merry Christmas to all. See you guys come baseball season. Maybe we'll try to sneak in a podcast when the playoffs start for the NFL, but until then, it might be kind of quiet. It's going to definitely be quiet. The season will be over. Good luck to you, Derek and Michael. I know you're secretly rooting for Derek so that Michael doesn't get his second title to tie you.
That's an interesting point. Wait, Derek has a title though, right? Derek won baseball.
Oh, you're right.
So.
I'm sorry, Derek. I totally forgot about that.
Somebody's going to get their second title.
What, was that 2 years ago?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Whenever Derek wins a title, that's the sneakiest title of all time. I think that was the year that you and me stunk up the joint.
Yeah, that was that year.
Yeah.
He had a dominant team. So he had.
That was the year Braun
got
suspended, right?
Yeah, and he didn't even have him.
Wait, was it last year he won the title?
It was 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I mean. 2 years ago, yeah. The year Braun got suspended, he didn't miss him one bit.
No, he didn't.
We're just rambling.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas to all.
No, we do have some liberals in this league. Got to say happy holidays. Happy holidays, guys.